I'm Bradley Vincent, curator at Hodder Gallery on the Gold Coast. Hodder Gallery is thrilled to be supporting local artists to make new work. Next year, we'll be putting 20 local artists and artist collectives on display on the largest stage that's ever been available in the city. When we called for submissions, we asked for artists to submit a proposal of their choosing. What has emerged in the 20 selected artists is a real connection to place. There is, amongst them, a rich interest in nature and the environment. Also, a reflection on development and our human impact on the environment and what we extract from it. And, optimistically, a look at the individual in relation to nature and how we might find space for reflection in the world around us. In this podcast series, members of the Hodder Youth Advisory Group will sit down for a one-on-one with these artists to talk about their practice, their background, and the work they're making for Hodder in 2021.
Here we are today with Michelle Laplastria and Samuel Leighton-Dahl. So good to have you both together in our little TAFE podcast studio. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
So I thought we'd kickstart with the fact that you two do know one another.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you could tell me about your story, how you came to know one another, or what brought you here today.
I think I first met Michelle after I bought one of her little pieces, ceramic pieces off Instagram, and she very kindly dropped it off, and we got to chatting, and
I've never left his side since.
never left my side. I actually locked the door.
The rest of the story. How do you negotiate like this creative journey of being an artist and putting new work and ideas into the world with the admin that comes with, you know, proposals, grants, writing, all of the admin? I think that it's kind of like...
It's a lot.
How do you kind of balance those two quite
it's such a nightmare.
opposing forces, you know?
Doesn't really sleep, so I imagine
don't
that's
sleep
like
very
how
much.
you juggle it.
I mean, it's kind of tricky because you don't get taught. I mean, I didn't go through a traditional arts education, and neither did Michelle, so I can't speak to that. But in terms of being a sole trader, you're not really taught how to exist in the world at school.
No.
You're taught how to do long division, and you're
Or
taught about
tax.
Hitler, but you're not taught about tax and how to run a business and a small business. So it kind of is this kind of steep learning curve that does involve kind of wearing a bunch of different hats. And I think what's the case with me, and I think Michelle and a lot of other artists, is that in order to support ourselves as young people, we do work in a number of different supporting roles in different industries. So you end up kind of being efficient with Excel spreadsheet and familiar with the social media backends and algorithms and selling other people's products. And you kind of, you know, have a marketing hat, and you have a photography hat, and you have a admin hat. And like, so you kind of have these skills that you accumulate really slowly and then can put into practice with your own work when...
And I think, again, that's also when like community comes in, and it's really important because maybe where you have your shortfalls, and if you do have that open relationship with the people around you, that you can ask for help and you are able to kind of be a little bit more vulnerable with asking for help and showing that maybe you do have a shortfall there. And I think that like the experience that we've had is that the people we're surrounding ourselves with are very open to sharing that knowledge and to helping, and I think that is a big part of like kind of why things are happening on the Gold Coast at the moment, because of that community hub that is happening.
Everyone's embracing creative non-monogamy.
Oh.
Love that term.
We're open to each other.
Yeah.
Special. I mean, for example, like Michelle is more kind of knowledgeable about kind of certain technicalities when it comes to ceramics than I am. She dots her I's and crosses her T's and understands why things happen, whereas I've always been a throw shit till it sticks kind of loner and just put things in the kiln, and if they blow up, I'll try again. And that's how I learnt. But Michelle has this whole bank of knowledge that I don't have. And then, as she said, like, I'm have natural skills in writing. So there's kind of a natural transactional kind of component to our relationship. But I think it does come back to community and the fact that we have like a group of friends who are all really good at what they do, but we can't all be good at everything. So it becomes this like rotating kind of wheel of support, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And important, I think, when you're navigating all of those different hats and changing between them even in an afternoon,
Yeah.
to have that
Yeah.
scaffolding around you.
That's just it. It's like not even on a day to day. It's like within that day you're wearing all of those hats, and yeah, it can get quite overwhelming. But definitely support, friendship and support has helped through that. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you talk a bit about your journey to becoming artists? I know you mentioned that it wasn't the traditional route of art school, but here you are today, and about to be in the show next year at the Hodder Gallery.
For me personally, I never set out to be an artist per se. I knew I wanted to be a storyteller, and that always kind of included visual components. So I did visual arts at school. I did a coffee table book for my major work, and then I studied filmmaking, and I made some short films and short documentaries, and then I kind of fell backwards into journalism and editing, and then my boss got arrested for tax evasion, and I moved to the Gold Coast, and I started to explore the visual side of things a bit more. I kind of wanted to create like an umbrella that gave me the freedom to use my filmmaking skills, my writing skills, and my kind of artistic skills. And I felt like when I described myself as a writer or as a filmmaker or as a creative, I was still pigeonholed into certain ideas, but calling myself an artist gave me this freedom to kind of not feel the need to meet expectations of what I do and to kind of let it be just.
Yeah, and I think what's unique about today is that a lot of artists work in a really multidisciplinary way, and so that's allowing us to be kind of step out from those pigeonholes that might have come before, and people work in a more collaborative fashion now as well. What about you, Michelle? So you didn't attend art school? Were you always playing with clay as a child?
I went to university, but I didn't study art. I actually did graphic design at uni. Definitely have always been creating. I think it's only been in the last couple of years that I've really, from people's reaction to the pieces that I was creating and from the conceptual side behind the pieces that I've created, that I've made the decision to label myself as an artist. I think that exactly like Sam was saying, I think that freedom to, I don't want to be just an e-commerce store. I don't want to be just a ceramicist. I do enjoy the freedom that visual arts gives you. And I think, there's things that, from my design background do feed into being an artist. And I like that you can kind of pull from multiple, avenues to create that umbrella of work. And I think exactly like, with Sam, I think that a lot of your work is really served by the fact that you do wear all of those hats, that you are a writer, that you are a filmmaker, and that, like you said, as being a storyteller, I think that is so evident in your work. But yeah, so I think that...
and same with you and your ability to make patterns and create shapes and textures, and it's such yeah.
Thank you. I like to make bright, fun, joyous things.
Yeah, happy nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely working with memory and nostalgia and childhood. I think that's a pretty heavy theme throughout my work, and definitely something that, as we've been talking about lately, that we want to delve in and explore and pull apart and maybe kind of, come in from a more critical point of view with those themes. So that's really exciting. And that's kind of what's happened with me.
Challenge those stereotypes, maybe.
Yeah.
So what inspires you?
Depression. truly, if I think I was happy, like, I think if I had had a happy kind of childhood, I don't think I'd feel the need to create. So I think it does kind of come from, growing up, I spent a lot of time creating alternative worlds to kind of dip in and out of, and creating characters and writing books that no one ever read. I've always kind of created narratives that became safe places for me, and I think my artistic practice has allowed me to do that on a bigger scale and do that in a way that invites other people in. And that's part of the joy of it for me, is to kind of create moments and create worlds and suites of characters that can then be kind of engaged with and interacted with by members of the public. Like, it's super fun to invite people into my worlds and be like, here's a little world I made, enjoy it.
Come inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think very similarly, that's like my motivation is more like a freedom. Like, I think it's the same kind of thing, though. It gives you that like escape from maybe the things that you aren't really enjoying in reality, to create these. I think I like to try and create, whereas Sam's kind of like making something, this new world that hasn't existed before, and making these brand new characters. I'm kind of coming at it from a different angle, where I'm trying to reconnect you with a joyous point in your life that has already existed. I really enjoy people kind of trying to get people to see the magic in the ordinary, and yeah, like thinking a little bit more, like it's really hard to be overwhelmed, really easy, to be overwhelmed these days, and I think that art has such a big role and ability to allow people to like open their minds and escape that for a little bit, to move into those like more positive spaces, I think. So yeah,
I mean, I think art has the power to make really tricky subjects accessible and palatable in a way that doesn't feel clinical or judgmental. It's a way to kind of prompt reflection on big ideas.
You talk a little on the ideas you're beginning to generate towards your project for Hodder Gallery in 2021?
It's my first time being institutionalized since childhood. And I'm really excited. It's very kind of legitimizing to work with an organisation like Hodder, and they've been very receptive to my ideas and encouraging, and you know, it's kind of given me the opportunity to explore my practice at a scale that I haven't yet. So I'm not sure how much of it I'm allowed to say. Am I allowed to describe the work?
Yeah, have a go.
Okay. Well, it involves hundreds of handmade ceramic clouds, and it also involves a website and an app and AR technology. So it's kind of bringing together things that I love and things that I know nothing about, and trying to create an experience that connects people. Yeah.